Question 1. A Scrum team is about to begin a new sprint. During sprint planning, the product owner presents a new, high-priority user story that involves significant technical complexity and uncertainty. The development team is unsure how to estimate its effort. What is the most appropriate action for the team to take? A. Assign a large story point value to account for the uncertainty and move on. B. Break down the user story into smaller, more manageable stories during sprint planning. C. Request the product owner to remove the story from the sprint backlog until it's fully defined. D. Postpone the estimation and task breakdown until the daily Scrum. Answer: B. Break down the user story into smaller, more manageable stories during sprint planning. During sprint planning, if a user story is too large or complex to estimate, the most effective approach for the development team is to work with the product owner to break it down into smaller, more manageable pieces. This enables better understanding, more accurate estimation, and allows the team to deliver incremental value within the sprint. Complex stories, often indicated by technical complexity and uncertainty, are harder to estimate and deliver, making decomposition a critical step for effective agile planning. Remember, small, well-defined user stories lead to clearer work and more predictable sprints. Question 2. A PMP certified project manager is leading a hybrid project where some components are developed using an agile approach, and others follow a predictive lifecycle. The Agile team is struggling with frequent changes to requirements, impacting their ability to deliver stable increments. What should the project manager recommend to help the Agile team better manage these changes? A. Implement a change control board for all Agile requirements to ensure formal approval. B. Encourage the product owner to prioritize and communicate changes proactively and continuously. C. Freeze requirements after each sprint planning session to prevent further scope creep. D. Shift the entire project to a predictive approach to minimize requirement volatility. Answer: B. Encourage the product owner to prioritize and communicate changes proactively and continuously. In Agile environments, change is embraced rather than avoided, and the product owner is responsible for managing the product backlog and prioritizing changes. To address frequent requirement changes impacting a team's stability, the project manager should reinforce the product owner's role in continuously grooming, prioritizing, and communicating these changes proactively to the development team. This continuous interaction helps the team adapt and incorporate changes efficiently, upholding the Agile principle of responding to change over following a plan. A key takeaway is that effective communication and a strong product owner are crucial for navigating evolving requirements in Agile projects. Question 3. During a sprint retrospective, the Scrum team identifies that their definition of done, DoD, is too vague, leading to quality issues being discovered late in the sprint. What is the most appropriate action for the team to take? A. The Scrum Master should revise the definition of done and present it to the team. B. The development team should unilaterally make the definition of done more stringent. C. The entire Scrum team should collaboratively review and refine the definition of done. D. The product owner should enforce a stricter definition of done for future sprints. Answer: C. The entire Scrum team should collaboratively review and refine the definition of done. The definition of done, DoD, is a shared understanding of what it means for work to be complete and of high quality, and it is crucial for ensuring transparency and consistent quality in an Agile project. When the DoD is vague or causing issues, the entire Scrum team, including the development team, Scrum Master, and product owner, should collaboratively review and refine it during the sprint retrospective. This collaborative approach ensures everyone has buy-in and a clear understanding, improving product quality and team accountability. Remember, a robust definition of done clarifies expectations and sets a high bar for shippable increments. Question 4. A PMP candidate observes an Agile team that consistently overcommits during sprint planning and fails to complete all selected items by the end of the sprint. Which Agile metric would be most helpful for the team to analyze to improve their sprint planning accuracy? A. cycle time. B. Lead time. C. Velocity. D. Cumulative flow diagram. Answer: C. Velocity. Velocity is an agile metric that measures the amount of work a team can complete in a single sprint, typically expressed in story points or ideal days. When a team consistently overcommits, analyzing their historical velocity provides a realistic baseline for how much work they can realistically pull into a sprint. By understanding their average velocity, the team can make more accurate forecasts during sprint planning, preventing overcommitment and improving predictability. Thinking of velocity as a team's sustainable pace helps them plan for successful sprint completions. Question 5. An agile team is experiencing frequent external interruptions during their sprints, pulling team members away from planned work. This is causing delays and affecting team morale. What is the Scrum Master's primary role in addressing this situation? A. Report the interruptions to senior management for resolution. B. Shield the development team from external interference and remove impediments. C. Assign a specific team member to handle all external communications. D. Document all interruptions and present them during the sprint review. Answer: B. Shield the development team from external interference and remove impediments. A key responsibility of the Scrum Master is to serve the development team by removing impediments that hinder their progress and protecting them from external interference. When frequent interruptions occur, the Scrum Master should proactively identify these disruptions and work to shield the team, allowing them to focus on sprint goals without distraction. This role is a prime example of servant leadership, where the Scrum Master empowers the team by clearing their path. Think of the Scrum Master as a guardian, ensuring the team has a clear runway to deliver value. Question 6. A project manager is leading a large, complex project using an agile approach. Stakeholders are concerned about the lack of traditional detailed documentation up front. What is the best way to address their concerns while maintaining agile principles? A. Insist on minimal documentation as per agile guidelines and educate stakeholders later. B. Create comprehensive upfront documentation to satisfy stakeholders, then proceed with agile. C. Develop living documentation incrementally as the product evolves, demonstrating its value. D. Postpone all documentation until the final product release to save time during development. Answer: C. Develop living documentation incrementally as the product evolves, demonstrating its value. Agile principles prioritize working software over comprehensive documentation, but this does not mean no documentation. Instead, documentation should be just enough and just in time, created incrementally alongside the product development. To address stakeholder concerns about a lack of upfront detail, the best approach is to develop living documentation that evolves with the product, demonstrating its relevance and utility. This approach satisfies the need for information while adhering to Agile's adaptive nature, ensuring documentation remains valuable and current. Question 7. A product owner is preparing for the next sprint planning meeting. They have identified several new features and bug fixes. What is the most important factor for the product owner to consider when prioritizing items for the sprint backlog? A. Ease of implementation for the development team. B. Technical dependencies between items. C. Business value and alignment with product goals. D. The estimated effort required for each item. Answer: C. Business value and alignment with product goals. The product owner is responsible for maximizing the value of the product resulting from the work of the development team, and this is primarily achieved through effective product backlog management. When prioritizing items for the sprint backlog, the most important factor for the product owner to consider is the business value each item delivers and its alignment with overall product goals and vision. While technical dependencies and effort are important for the development team's planning, value realization is the product owner's core responsibility. Prioritizing by value ensures the team always works on what matters most to stakeholders. Question 8. During a daily Scrum, a development team member mentions a significant technical challenge that could impact their ability to complete their committed work for the sprint. What is the most appropriate action for the Scrum Master to take immediately after the daily Scrum? A. Advise the team member to work overtime to resolve the issue. B. Facilitate a separate meeting with the relevant team members to discuss and resolve the impediment. C. Record the issue and add it to the impediments list for discussion at the sprint retrospective. D. Inform the product owner to adjust the sprint goal to account for the potential delay. Answer: B. Facilitate a separate meeting with the relevant team members to discuss and resolve the impediment. The daily Scrum is a brief synchronization meeting, not a problem-solving session. When a development team member identifies a significant technical challenge or impediment, the Scrum Master's role is to facilitate its resolution. Therefore, the most appropriate immediate action is to arrange a separate, more focused meeting with the specific team members involved to discuss the issue in detail and determine a resolution. This ensures the daily Scrum remains short and focused while addressing critical blockers promptly, keeping the sprint on track. Question 9. An Agile team is working on a new product. They are frequently delivering increments, but stakeholders express concern that the product is not meeting their underlying business needs. Which Agile practice is most likely missing or insufficient? A. Daily Scrums. B. Sprint retrospectives. C. Continuous integration. D. Frequent stakeholder collaboration and feedback loops. Answer: D. Frequent stakeholder collaboration and feedback loops. A core principle of Agile is customer collaboration over contract negotiation and delivering working software frequently. If stakeholders feel their underlying business needs are not being met despite frequent deliveries, it indicates a breakdown in continuous engagement and feedback loops. Frequent stakeholder collaboration, often through events like the sprint review and informal interactions, ensures the team is building the right product by validating assumptions and incorporating feedback early and often. Without this vital collaboration, even frequent delivery risks building the wrong solution. Question 10. A product owner decides to change the priority of a feature that is currently in progress during a sprint. What should be the first course of action for the development team? A. Immediately stop work on the feature and start on the newly prioritized item. B. Renegotiate the sprint backlog with the product owner and Scrum Master. C. Inform the product owner that the sprint backlog cannot be changed mid-sprint. D. Continue working on the original feature as planned and address the change in the next sprint. Answer: B. Renegotiate the sprint backlog with the product owner and Scrum Master. While the sprint backlog is often considered frozen, once sprint planning is complete to protect the development team's focus, significant changes in priority can occur. If a product owner wishes to change a feature in progress, the development team should initiate a conversation with the product owner and Scrum Master to renegotiate the sprint backlog and potentially the sprint goal. This collaborative discussion determines the feasibility and impact of the change, upholding the principle of responding to change while protecting the sprint's integrity. It's about adaptation and transparency, not rigid adherence or immediate capitulation. Question 11. An Agile team is struggling to estimate the effort for user stories consistently, leading to inaccurate sprint forecasts. They want to use a relative estimation technique. Which of the following is a common relative estimation technique used in Agile? A. Expert judgment. B. Analogous estimating. C. Planning poker. D. Three-point estimating. Answer: C. Planning poker. Planning poker is a widely used relative estimation technique in Agile that involves the entire development team. Team members use a deck of cards with numbers, often Fibonacci sequence, to estimate the effort for user stories, revealing their estimates simultaneously. This technique promotes discussion and consensus, leveraging collective knowledge to arrive at more accurate and consistent relative estimates for user stories, which contrasts with absolute estimations or expert judgment alone. It's a powerful tool for collaborative and effective team sizing. Question 12. A project manager is transitioning a traditional project team to an agile approach. The team members are accustomed to detailed upfront planning and individual assignments. What agile principle should the project manager emphasize first to foster a more agile mindset? A. Value customer satisfaction above all else. B. Self-organizing teams are the best source of requirements. C. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. D. Working software is the primary measure of progress. Answer: C. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. When transitioning from a traditional, process-heavy environment to agile, a fundamental mindset shift is required. The agile principle of individuals and interactions over processes and tools is paramount, as it emphasizes that people and their direct collaboration are more important than rigid adherence to predefined processes or reliance on specific tools. By focusing on fostering effective interactions and collaboration within the team and with stakeholders, the project manager lays the groundwork for self-organization and adaptability, which are cornerstones of Agile. This principle helps team members understand that their communication and collaboration are keys to success, not just following a rigid plan. Question 13. A large, complex project is using multiple Scrum teams. To ensure alignment and address dependencies between teams, which scaled Agile meeting is most appropriate? A. Scrum of Scrums. B. Daily Scrum. C. Sprint Retrospective. D. Product Backlog Refinement. Answer: A. Scrum of Scrums. When multiple Scrum teams are working on a single large project, a common practice to coordinate efforts and manage dependencies is the Scrum of Scrums. This meeting typically involves one representative from each Scrum team, often the Scrum Master or a designated team member, who discusses progress, upcoming work, dependencies, and impediments affecting multiple teams. It is specifically designed to facilitate cross-team communication and alignment, ensuring the overall project remains cohesive. Remember, Scrum of Scrums helps multiple teams march in the same direction towards a shared goal. Question 14. An Agile team has just completed a sprint. During the sprint review, stakeholders expressed that the increment delivered, while functional, does not fully meet their expectations for user experience. What should be the primary focus of the upcoming sprint retrospective? A. How to improve the development team's coding skills. B. How to better define the product vision with stakeholders. C. How to improve the processes and tools used by the Scrum team. D. How to prevent scope creep in future sprints. Answer: C. How to improve the processes and tools used by the Scrum team. The sprint retrospective is an opportunity for the Scrum team to inspect itself and create a plan for improvements to be enacted during the next sprint. If stakeholders are unhappy with the user experience of the increment, it indicates a need to reflect on the team's processes, collaboration, design practices, or tools that led to this outcome. Focusing on improving the team's processes and tools, rather than just skill development or external vision, directly addresses how the team can work more effectively to meet quality and expectation standards. This continuous self-improvement is central to Agile adaptability. Question 15. A product owner is struggling to gain consensus among diverse stakeholders regarding the priority of items in the product backlog. What is a common Agile technique that can help the product owner facilitate this prioritization? A. Critical path method. B. Moscow prioritization. C. Earned value management. D. Ishikawa diagram. Answer: B. Moscow prioritization. Moscow prioritization is a common Agile technique used to categorize and prioritize requirements based on their importance. Moscow stands for must have, should have, could have, and won't have, for now, providing a clear framework for stakeholders to agree on which features are essential, highly desirable, nice to have, or out of scope. This method helps to facilitate discussions and gain consensus among diverse stakeholders by explicitly defining levels of necessity, making it easier for the product owner to manage expectations and order the product backlog. Question 16. During a sprint, a development team member identifies a technical debt issue that, if left unaddressed, could significantly slow down future development. The issue is not directly related to the current sprint goal. What is the most appropriate action for the team to take? A. Inform the product owner about the technical debt for inclusion in the product backlog for future sprints. B. Immediately stop working on the current sprint items to address the technical debt. C. Document the technical debt and address it during downtime between sprints. D. Assign the technical debt to a single team member to fix in isolation. Answer. A. Inform the product owner about the technical debt for inclusion in the product backlog for future sprints. Technical debt, while important, often represents work that is not directly aligned with the current sprint goal but impacts future productivity or quality. The most appropriate action is for the development team to make the product owner aware of the technical debt so it can be captured as a product backlog item. The product owner can then prioritize it alongside other features and bug fixes, ensuring it gets addressed when it makes the most sense from a value perspective. This approach balances immediate sprint goals with long-term product health. Question 17. A team is new to Agile and is using Scrum. They are struggling with the concept of self-organizing. What is the best way for the Scrum Master to foster self-organization within the development team? A. Assign tasks to each team member during sprint planning to ensure accountability. B. Act as a servant leader, coaching the team, and removing impediments, allowing them to make decisions. C. Create a detailed project plan for the team to follow, outlining all their responsibilities. D. Take over the team's decision-making process to ensure work is completed on time. Answer. B. Act as a servant leader, coaching the team, and removing impediments, allowing them to make decisions. Self-organizing teams are a cornerstone of Agile, meaning the people doing the work decide how best to accomplish it. To foster self-organization, the Scrum Master should embody servant leadership, guiding and coaching the team to make their own decisions rather than dictating actions. By removing impediments and empowering the team, the Scrum Master creates an environment where the team can collaboratively manage their work and solve problems, ultimately leading to greater ownership and efficiency. Remember, a servant leader helps the team grow their own capabilities, not just complete tasks. Question 18. A PMP certified professional is overseeing an Agile project where the project budget is fixed, but the scope is flexible. Which of the following best describes this approach? A. Fixed scope, fixed time, fixed cost. B. Fixed time, fixed cost, flexible scope. C. Flexible time, flexible cost, fixed scope. D. Flexible time, flexible cost, flexible scope. Answer. B. Fixed time, fixed cost, flexible scope. In Agile projects, especially those following a value-driven approach, it is common to fix 2 out of 3 constraints: time, cost, scope, and flex the third. A typical Agile approach often involves a fixed time box, like a sprint or release, and a fixed budget, the cost of the team during that time, with the scope being the primary variable. This means the team delivers the most valuable features possible within the given time and budget, allowing for adaptation to changing priorities. This flexibility in scope is key to delivering maximum value within known constraints. Question 19. A team is consistently struggling to complete all committed work in a sprint, indicating poor predictability. Which of the following Agile metrics would be most useful for them to track and analyze to identify the root cause of their unpredictability? A. Earned value, EV. B. Return on investment, ROI. C. Burn down charts. D. Cost performance index, CPI. Answer. C. Burn down charts. Burn-down charts are visual tools used in Agile to track the remaining work over time, typically within a sprint. If a team consistently struggles to complete committed work, analyzing the burn-down chart can reveal patterns of unpredictability, such as work being added mid-sprint, estimations being consistently off, or impediments not being removed promptly. The burn-down chart visually represents the team's progress towards the sprint goal and helps identify deviations from the expected trajectory, making it invaluable for diagnosing and improving sprint predictability. Question 20. In an Agile project, when is the minimum viable product (MVP) typically delivered? A. At the very end of the project, as the final release. B. As the first increment of the product, with just enough features to satisfy early adopters and gather feedback. C. After all essential features are fully developed and tested. D. Only if the project budget allows for additional features beyond the core requirements. Answer: B. As the first increment of the product, with just enough features to satisfy early adopters and gather feedback. A minimum viable product, MVP, is a version of a new product which allows a team to collect the maximum amount of validated learning about customers with the least effort. In Agile, the MVP is delivered as the first increment of the product, containing only the absolute essential features required to provide core value and allow early adopters to use it. Its purpose is to quickly gather feedback, validate assumptions, and guide future development, rather than delivering a full-featured product. Delivering an MVP early is about learning fast and minimizing risk. Question 21. What is the primary purpose of the sprint review in Scrum? A. To inspect the increment and adapt the product backlog if needed. B. To discuss what went well and what could be improved during the sprint. C. To update stakeholders on overall project progress and budget. D. To plan the work for the upcoming sprint. Answer: A. To inspect the increment and adapt the product backlog if needed. The sprint review is a key event in Scrum where the Scrum team and stakeholders collaborate to inspect the increment, the potentially shippable product created during the sprint, and adapt the product backlog as necessary based on feedback and changed conditions. It's a formal opportunity to demonstrate what was accomplished, gather feedback from stakeholders, and make informed decisions about future development. This inspection and adaptation ensures the product remains valuable and relevant. Question 22. An Agile team discovers during a sprint that a significant external dependency will delay the completion of a high-priority user story. What should the development team do first? A. Stop all work on the user story and wait for the dependency to be resolved. B. Immediately inform the product owner and Scrum Master about the impediment. C. Seek a new, higher priority user story from the product backlog to work on. D. Try to resolve the external dependency themselves, regardless of scope. Answer: B. Immediately inform the product owner and Scrum Master about the impediment. When a development team encounters an impediment, especially one as significant as an external dependency delaying a high-priority item, their first action should be to transparently communicate this to the product owner and Scrum Master. The Scrum Master's role is then to work on removing the impediment, and the product owner may need to adjust expectations or priorities. This immediate communication ensures transparency and allows the team and stakeholders to collaboratively address the issue, rather than the team struggling in isolation. Question 23. A project is being managed using a hybrid approach, combining elements of predictive and agile methodologies. The project manager is trying to determine which parts of the project are best suited for an agile approach. Which of the following characteristics typically favors an agile approach? A. Clear, stable requirements and a low level of uncertainty. B. A need for frequent releases and early feedback. C. A strong emphasis on comprehensive upfront documentation. D. Projects with a fixed scope and rigid timelines. Answer: B. A need for frequent releases and early feedback. Agile methodologies thrive in environments where requirements are uncertain or evolving, and there is a high need for flexibility and rapid adaptation. A key characteristic that favors an agile approach is the desire for frequent releases of working product increments and continuous early feedback from stakeholders. This iterative and incremental delivery allows for course correction and ensures the product being built truly meets evolving needs, making it ideal for projects where learning and adaptation are paramount. Question 24. A product owner is struggling with managing a large and complex product backlog. Many items are vague, and some are no longer relevant. What ongoing activity should the product owner engage in to address this? A. Sprint planning. B. Backlog refinement, formerly grooming. C. Sprint review. D. Release planning. Answer: B. Backlog refinement, formerly grooming. Backlog refinement, also known as backlog grooming, is an ongoing, continuous activity where the product owner, often with the development team, reviews, updates, and reorders product backlog items. This involves adding details, estimates, and order to items, and removing those that are no longer relevant, ensuring the backlog remains clear, transparent, and aligned with the product vision. It's a proactive measure to keep the product backlog healthy and ready for future sprints. Question 25. What is the primary purpose of a release plan in an agile context? A. To provide a detailed, fixed schedule for all features until the project end. B. To forecast the probable delivery of a set of features over multiple sprints. C. To finalize the budget for the entire project lifecycle. D. To document all technical specifications for the product. Answer: B. To forecast the probable delivery of a set of features over multiple sprints. A release plan in Agile is a high-level forecast that outlines which features or user stories are expected to be delivered in upcoming releases, typically spanning several sprints. Unlike a detailed, fixed traditional project schedule, an Agile release plan is adaptive and subject to change based on new information, team velocity, and evolving priorities. Its primary purpose is to provide stakeholders with a probable roadmap for delivering value, enabling long-term planning without rigid commitments.